Yes, family, yes, community, yes, my people, welcome back to the Daily Football Report. And of course, on today's episode, always hot topics. We have José Mourinho entertainment, of course. We have players coming out of retirement, basically, in my opinion, for Wales teams. We have contract renewals down at Arsenal. A lot of news coming out of Manchester United arena. So let's jump into it right away. Uncle Jose is back and on the attack. My guy, my favorite manager of them all. You can name Ferguson, you can name Pep, you can name them all. For me, my GOAT, my manager forever will be José Mourinho. José Mourinho, what he has done for the way I see the game, the way I understand the game, the way I fell more and more in love with football. José Mourinho was one of those managers that brought that impact to my game. Even the way I see how teams should take games on, how people should be pragmatic at times. It's all from a Mourinho's mindset now. Would I love my teams to always play like Mourinho? Probably not. I would definitely, if I was to be a manager at that level, have a few coaches that I really like. But personally, this man here, the evolution in which he brought to football, what he brought to football, the way he speaks to journalists, the entertainment he brings is uncanny, and no one else will be able to bring that. Now, big up to Benfica for not only taking the chance on Uncle Jose, but also just like opening a door for us to realize that he is still a top manager. I know a lot of people want to say this man is finished, but settle down, people. This man can go on another run before his career is over. And a lot of people will say, oh, maybe he's being targeted. I think he is a target for referees now. Just like Antonio Conte, I think he's a target. I think Thomas Tuchel is a target. I think certain managers are easy targets for these referees. And they only card them for certain, just based on anything. When you see Mourinho always getting yellow cards, what's the reason? Of course, the type of manager he is. Of course, he says smart things. So why do you consistently try to make it a part of the entertainment of the game? If they just start to probably ignore people like Mourinho, Diego Simeone, Antonio Conte, and so on, then probably you wouldn't really see them react as much as they do then, because the referees would ignore them. But because now the referees go and bring magnitude to the situation by bringing out a card, then you give them the ammunition to bash you as the referee. And at the end of the day, you might win, because you think, oh, well, fuck the manager or whatever, you have won, I've given him a yellow card, piss off, your team lose, ha ha ha, yada yada. But at the end of the day, you as the referee, when you retire, no one will remember you. The only reason why people like Mark Clattenburg and Howard Webb and them still relevant is because they're still relevant right now in the football world. Mark Clattenburg went and said something crazy about Manchester United and referees blowing for them. Now you realize what has happened to him with the PGMOL. They don't even call him back to help make decisions or even talk about decisions that are made in games. And what does that mean to you? What does that tell you? That a prominent name like Mark Clattenburg, and I know a lot of footballers know it, isn't even being offered the chance to come on TV because of the shit he said. Because of the things he said. He showed that he was clearly, even if he was probably the only one that was biased towards other teams, and he called other people into that situation. He just made himself blacklisted. Now, Uncle Jose was not having it anyways with these people. With this stupid journalist asking him such a stupid question about the 74 charges with Man City and Chelsea, yada, 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 yada. So this is what he had to say.
There's there's an investigation going on at the moment about 74 charges. Some of that period covers the time that you were in charge. Would it be unfair to punish Chelsea, potentially strip them of titles that they won on the
Just
pitch
look at
for
the grade. Hey, look at the grade on his face.
the
Just
pitch
look at the
offences?
Not Man City. No.
Well, they're investigating Chelsea, aren't they? What's your view?
I have no idea about it.
Listen,
I have no idea about it. I have no idea of what the charges are. I will try to understand it.
listen to me, right? This man will never be forgotten. Remember, I tell you, him and Cristiano Ronaldo has been two of Portugal's most prominent figures in the football world, no doubt. José Mourinho for the managerial side of it, Cristiano Ronaldo for the player side of it. And in terms of Portuguese football heritage, there is no doubt these two guys have impacted themselves so much in football that so many people have been able to benefit from what they've done. You know, you have Marcos Silvas, the Nuno Espirito Santos, the Ruben Amorim. You have, oh my God, I can't remember Wolves manager right now. But all these managers have benefited from a Mourinho being such a great manager and a Mourinho being such a vibe to teams, bringing a certain way of football. And if it's one thing you get with all Portuguese managers is they have a style. This is how they play. They stick to the way they play no matter what. If you think about it, do you know how a Nuno team's going to play? Yep. Do you know how a Mourinho's team going to play? Yep. Do you know how a Ruben Amorim team's going to play? Yeah. Do you know how Marco Silva's team going to play? Yeah. So you know. And this is what I mean, is that a lot of these guys, they're very firm in the way they see football. Passionate, strong-minded. And it's the same with the way Cristiano Ronaldo plays the game. Very strong-minded. The ability to overcome any obstacle in life on that football pitch especially. You know, when you have a young man playing at such a good level, high level, to the point where he's influenced so many footballers. His celebration has inspired young men. Everywhere I go now, I see people sue. Everywhere I go in the world, I see people celebrate with the sue. Even when I see young kids training, even when I'm training young kids, even when I'm around younger players and I watch them training with their parents, with their coaches, and I pass them on the pitch or anything around, and they do well in the training, I just have to do. And I see me and them do the same. Sue. The guy has created a movement in football. And it's amazing to see that even me, as an older person, in the football world now, and the younger kids, we can communicate, not even understanding each other, by just doing this and jumping in the air and doing a celebration. Created by a man who maybe when he was at Sporting, no one thought he could be this. So this is why I respect not only Mourinho, but I also respect Cristiano Ronaldo so much. Because they have created a heritage in their country that means so much to not only footballers in their country, but also to footballers outside of their country. Now, Arsenal have been seen signing up another defender of theirs onto a long-term contract, William Saliba. So, I'm pretty happy about this, but for me, this doesn't really stop anything from happening. The fact that Konate is now being rumored with Real Madrid and this happening makes me know that Saliba probably was in communication with Real Madrid. It just don't make any sense that we're hearing Konate is being linked to go that way. Yeah. We're seeing Mark Gee not even celebrating against Liverpool when the equalizer was, when they scored the winner. He didn't even celebrate. So pay attention to that as well. And then now you see William Saliba signing a new contract as Arsenal. Makes me know that Konate is probably on his way to Real Madrid. They're no longer going after Saliba. And that means that Mark Gee is probably going to go to Liverpool. That is just my crazy idea I see happening. I mean, the Saliba one's already happened. But the other two, I can see that happening as well. And this is good for Arsenal because this is one of the best young centre-backs Well, I can't call him young anymore. He's 24. But this is one of the best centre-backs in world football at the moment. Maybe not my top 5. Probably not my top 8. But in terms of, as a partnership, for sure, he and Gabriel is unbelievable. But individually, still have to work there to get world class. Now, there's a young centre-back at Arsenal called Mosquera. I think people are really sleeping on this player. And I promise you right now, Saliba is lucky that he's had good performances over the last season or two. Because Mosquera is, in my opinion, probably his ceiling is higher than Saliba. Now, this might sound crazy, people. No, I know y'all might be looking at my TV, y'all phone, wherever y'all watching me right now or listening to me and say, boy, this boy does like he wake up in the morning and decide, hey, Imran, how am I just gonna talk? Or yeah, how am I just gonna talk crazy shit today, yeah? But in all honesty, people, when I look at the way Mosquera drive with the ball, play the ball into the striker's feet, skip the lines, how many progressive passes he make in a game, how many times he try to split the lines. For me personally, he is even real than so many centre-backs in the Premier League. So many centre-backs. There are a lot of centre-backs in the Premier League that don't play those passes. I'm not saying they probably don't have the ability to play those passes, but there's a few centre-backs in the Premier League that play passes to drive, to cut the lines, cut the spaces, cut the thirds. There aren't a lot of centre-backs I see in the game doing that anymore. It's come out the game so much. They're either looking for a diag or they're going square. They're not penny or they're driving with the ball. They're not using the ball to do the movement for them, to cut the yards. And for me, that needs to come back into football. Now, Wales is seen running back the years. Craig Bellamy is bringing back his boy Aaron Ramsey into the Wales setup. So shout outs to Ramsey, having been in the team for nearly 13 months now. So now him coming back after over a year into the new competition. I mean, not the new competition, but World Cup qualifiers against Belgium and they're friendly against England. Or I think they have a qualifiers as well against England. Either or, which one it is, he is back. Shout outs to Aaron Ramsey for putting out one. Because, you know, sometimes people will have you down and out and make you feel like you're the downtrodden. But sometimes when you hear you're back against the wall, my young ones watching this, fellow community people, all my people around, listen, and when you're back against the wall, it's just a way of you needing some support to be able to pivot, to push forward. Never you feel like when you're back against the wall, nothing is achievable. That is when you have the most power to go forward. Because now you're not going all the way back and have to use all the pressure from your lower back and your hip and your glutes and your hamstring and your pelvis and all that. You don't have to push back up from that low and come back up. Look at it as just a little elevated squat. You know, when you squat and you want to go deeper into your squat, you actually aid with a little bit of deep, you know, a little bit of elevation on the legs. You put your feet on it and you go down and you sink lower down into your squat. It's the same thing when you hear pressure on you and life want to punch you in the face, life pushing you on the wall and you feel like you're back against the wall. You just press even harder on the wall, scratch your back a little bit and come back forward and take on whatever pushing you. Because I promise you, your blessing is right there and everything that you want is just there after that little bit of trial. Trust me. I used to think when people tell you that it's delusional. But then it happened to me. It happened to me. And I come out on the better side of the stick. And now, you just feel like anything that come in front of you now, it's achievable. Anything that anyone tell you you can't do, you can do. You know, it actually makes you feel like the impossible is possible and the possible is too easy, so it's impossible. That's what that does to you. And it is so beautiful because it called that grit, determination, hard work, turmoil, sacrifice. I can name so many things for you. But anyways, talking about sacrifice, determination, back against the wall, this is a good way to segue into this. Tyrell Malacia has been called back to the Manchester United squad for the first team training. Now this is big news for this young man after being put into the bomb squad. Yeah. He has now been called up by Ruben Amorim. So does this look bad on Amorim? Or does this look bad on the club for not being able to get him a move away from the club, even if he was a part of the bomb squad? But I must say, Amorim always said if none of the players were sold, they would be welcomed back into Manchester United. He said once they do well enough, they do the right things, he would welcome them back into the squad. And a lot of those guys were afraid to go to the under 21s and never go into the first team. But I don't see Amorim being that guy. And this is also why he gets my respect. Because he now understands what it's like to be a player. He understands what a player would feel like in this situation. And at the end of the day, he does not want to damage a young player's career because his career finished early. So there is still some sort of respect and mutual respect between him and Tyrell for sure. The club and Tyrell for sure. And the mere fact that he's training so well that he's pushing himself into the first team. Is it Manchester United team is too poor? Or is it that he's training really well? So we have to see both sides, and pick arguments for both sides. Because at the end of the day, this is a shit situation for the club. You failed to actually sell a player you wanted to fail. Whether his agent failed or the club failed. At the end of the day, there was failure. Everybody have to take some sort of accountability for what happened. Failure to transfer the player out. Now he's coming back into the first team. Let us see what happens with the environment. I mean, all the players that he was friends with, Rashford, Garnacho, is gone. I think only he and maybe Ahmad are really tight like that. So we will see what happens in the near future and what will happen with Tyrell Malacia. I'm actually hoping he gets into the squad and starts to get a few games because that would be a real comeback story. Imagine him doing all that, coming back and then getting into Manchester United squad and starting and having a run of games and playing after he was supposed to be sold, after coming back from a long-term injury. And at the end of the day, I'm happy as he's the one that survived out of it all. And this is what I tell y'all when I tell y'all, God speak through football. Why is the man that had the most disadvantage to him in this case, in terms of he got a long-term injury, got bought by a former manager, came back into the team through his injury in a time that the team wasn't playing well. Then he was slow. The team was not building in a way. They brought up another young player and then shut him out. Now his progression has happened. He's gotten fitter. He's supposed to leave the club. He doesn't leave the club. And then he stays at the club, fails all his time to leave. And now he's being able to have a chance at the club again. Nah, bro. Only God can work like that, in my opinion. But yes, people, it's been your boy. Oh, before we do that, Jamie the fraud twat bit Carragher, because that's why I call him and Gary Neville. They are trolls. They are individuals who choose their betterment. They would rather damage a player's career by creating narratives to harm them than they do give constructive criticism. How long have they been on TV and we can't name one thing they've said that's been so constructive to a player? Let's not forget, 2 years ago, the same Gary Neville, right, with the Jamie Carragher, they interviewed the same Marcus Rashford that they speak about now like they never interviewed him. When he told them that players are affected by the media, you know what they do? Oh, what the fuck, yeah. They went back on the Super Social, on the overlap, and spoke about that same situation and rubbed it in Marcus' face. Why y'all think Marcus Rashford never do another interview with Sky Sports? Y'all never check those things out. But I just want y'all to see those things. Because those are the small things y'all need to pick out. Why y'all don't see certain journalists don't get invited back to Manchester United? There's that one at ESPN. I can't remember his name exactly. I don't know if it's a Rob Dawson or what. But I know for sure he ain't welcome back at Manchester United. And every time he talk on ESPN FC, he consistently run his mouth negatively about the club. What is his name? Mark Ogden. The fucking retard. Excuse me for my language, my young fans. Sorry. That was a loose one. Sickening. He will never be welcome back to Carrington, ever. Remember, I tell you, that boy banned. But yeah, Jamie Carragher had the world to say about Ruben Amorim. He basically started saying this, yeah? And I'll end with this one. He started by saying, oh, you know, I don't advocate for people to lose their jobs. But the minute you say but, bro, it's best you never start with what you say. Even Duncan Ferguson saying, you shouldn't advocate for another man to lose his job. He even paraphrased what the man say live after they said he basically repeat what the man say, paraphrase what the man say, and then say, yo, even if you said that, I still believe me, Jamie Carragher, the best defender footballer to ever play in the history of football, believe that Ruben Amorim should leave Manchester United because it's too far gone. Jamie Carragher, I just want you to know this, yeah? If we felt the same way about you and your football career, it wouldn't have passed the age of 15, dog. I just want you to know this. If people were advocating for the best footballers in the world to play football anywhere, you wouldn't play. If the restrictions for England and Europe wasn't so hard for a lot of players outside of the UEFA to get work visas, etc., to play in Europe and England, you wouldn't be the professional. So when you sit down at home and you go on TV and you advocate for another man to lose his job, bro, try to remember that you were fortunate to be born in a country that the league and your passport allows you to play in one of the best leagues. It's not your quality. It's not your captaincy. It's not your leadership qualities. Because any real leader, like Roy Keane, comes on TV like Wayne Rooney, like Duncan Ferguson, the real people. They come on TV and they give constructive criticism. Not pick a player, not pick someone and just try to bash them because you decide. And this is your problem, Jamie Carragher. And this is why you and Gary Neville, slowly the more you bring all these footballers on TV, is the more people gravitate to those footballers a lot more. Hence is why y'all trying to do all these other little social things now to keep yourself relevant. I look at Gary Neville now on the overlap and he knows it's not his show anymore. It's an Ian Wright and Roy Keane show. It is. Nobody want to hear those two twats on the other side of the table. Everybody, all the shorts are from Ian Wright and Roy Keane. All the hot topics are from them. All the best dialogue between friends are from them. Because they are honest. They are humble. They are constructive criticism. You know? Ian Wright says to Ollie Watkins, bro, I love you. I know you're a good player. Go score goals. You need to develop. Why you're not becoming a bit more instinctful? Those are the things you say. You know, the Gary Nevilles of the world, the Jamie Carraghers. Oh no, that is not them. They would say Ollie Watkins is. I don't think Ollie Watkins is a world-class striker. Ollie Watkins is one. Yeah, he might have scored goals for Aston Villa, but he's one of the worst. Not one of the worst strikers in England. Or they probably won't say one of the worst strikers. What they say? Oh, but in the older days there were more strikers. Obviously, y'all were playing 4-4-2 and 3-5-2. Of course, they would have had more profiles for more strikers in that time because you were playing solely with strikers. Y'all expect to have more strikers in demand now. You're playing with 2 wingers and 1 striker. You have 2 more wingers than a striker, which means in a team you probably have 4, 5 wingers and 2 strikers. Oh my God, dear Father. So then how many times you think you're going to... And most times you use one of those wingers as a striker as well. So how many times you are going to think you're going to be able to develop all these number 9s in football? Y'all hype up Chris. Is you all do this? When people like Ribery, Robin, Thierry Henry, all these players was supposed to win Ballon d'Ors, y'all gave them to Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. So what y'all think the future generation coming up was want to go play like? Neymar, Cristiano, and Messi. Jesus Christ, man, people. Sometimes y'all make this football thing so complicated, and I promise you, football is complicated tactically, but very uncomplicated when it comes to this thing. It's common sense. But a lot of y'all don't see it that way because y'all humans don't think logically. We don't. Y'all don't. A lot of humans just can't sit down and think logical. Even, you know, they say women very emotional than men. For me, that is fraudulent. Yeah? There are so many men out here that make emotional decisions. And the people might think emotional decision is just, oh, you like me? No. It's when you hear, even your thought is a selfish thought. Even that thought is about you just thinking about yourself and not taking everything about it to then make a decision. Maybe in this moment, you don't need to benefit. Somebody else benefiting will make you benefit in the long run. That's logic. Yeah? A lot of y'all not thinking that way. And this is why the world is the way it is. And this is why they need more people like us who try to preach positivity every time we get a chance to put positivity out there. I know this is supposed to be a football podcast all the time, but we are also human beings. And we also, as footballers and other types of people that work in the football industry, no matter what you are human beings as well. So sometimes we just have to simmer down from all the banter, all the hard talk, all the, all this, and just look at the sport from a human perspective. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot that y'all don't see that actually needs to be done on the human side to help you develop as a football player. So yes, people, as usual, it's always been your boy Yaya coming to you live. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page. Keep hitting the bell for notifications. So as always, I can continue bringing you great content going forward. Stay sexy. Have a good afternoon, night, morning, whenever you're looking at this. Ciao, my people.